Hello everyone, and welcome back to another WARNO Deck Deep Dive, this time with the 20th Pancerna, a division that I enjoy quite a lot, as it gets you T-72s, and it gets you cheap infantry as well, whilst having a decent amount of cool support units, including the Dana, and it's the slightly overshadowed division at the moment of the T-72s, as 9th Panzer for sure is an S-tier division, but I think this one here is a really solid one as well, and I had a lot of fun playing it in ranked. And that's why I want to go over it, as we start on the logistics step with 3 supply cards, so you can resupply your Gruts, you can resupply your T-72s and repair them after they take damage, which they quite often do. 1 BMP3 card for the first 3 CVs, 2 more here, 2 more in the tank tab, so a solid 7 going on. With these leaders here also having smoke, a decent RPG, well, not a good RPG, but at least it has some. So that's for 50 points, a pretty solid leader with 7 hit points. This is really good price. And then we have the Sapperji, which is one of the best engineer squads in the game in my eyes, as it got satchel charges, 9 hit points, so it is pretty chunky there, and it can push in. And the RPG just gives it extra capabilities. And then you can switch between the Scott A and the normal Scott. I would bring them in the normal Scott. The Scott A's extra firepower is not as relevant here, but having some extra firepower, having some extra vehicle to throw at the enemy is pretty key. So that is quite nice. Then we have the BMP2 Piechota mech here, which have 3 mid-range weapon, 2 PKMs and an SVD. That makes them really strong. Coming in the BMP2 as well. 45 points, solid price point for that. The RPG is not amazing, but the firepower really is. And the BMP2 is a great little vehicle as well, so with 1-star veterancy here. Availability is not quite perfect, as you go down to 3 on 2 veterancies, so yeah, you just take them with 1 vet. If it would be 4 and on 2 vet, you might want to go there even, but that is not the case here. Then you have your cheap spammable infantry that still brings you a BMP here with the normal Reconnaissance mech, which only have 1 PKM, so it's quite downgrade for the infantry. But the BMP1 is really cheap here for the polished, and that is nice, as you get a lot of light vehicles that support your tank plop with some ATGMs from the rear. The Malyutka has a long range, that is nice. The damage of it is not great, the speed is not great, but it has long range, so the enemy has to do something about it or risk getting hit by a decent amount of ATGMs that also do a decent amount of suppression. So that is the risk there with the BMP1 against you, so this is nice that it can force this. The ATGM teams you still need. I felt like you don't need as many in this deck, so I went with the upvet for it, as you can't afford it next to the tanks and so on. But you still wanted to get them in the UAT so you can get them quickly into positions and then hold your flank with these. You have enough ATGMs on your BMPs here that I don't feel like you need all 8 of them. So an extra upvet for the slightly better aim time and the slightly better accuracy, plus a bit of stress resilience, is quite nice. Artillery, you get the Danas, which currently are a bit slow. They should be faster, but outside of that, they are really nice. The main gun is solid, the autoloader is really nice. The 70 kilometers range is not amazing, so you have to push them quite close, which with higher speed in the future hopefully will be even better. But it's still a nice chassis of an autoloaded gun for a pretty efficient price point as well, and that makes the Dana quite nice. The Grud, for flatting out infantry out of position, quite nice as well. That's why you need the 3 black cards, so you can keep these 2 guys shooting. And then 120mm mortar to do a bit of damage maybe, and also smoke off whenever needed, which you might need to help out your tank pushes and so on, when you are up against divisions where you feel like you need to push your 2100 meter range tanks closer, as your T-72Ms are really cheap, but they also don't have smoke, and that is a problem for them. But their stats, baseline stats for that, are really nice. 19 pen, 15 frontal armor, pretty solid. The Vulk, I push it up to 2-star veterancy because I don't feel like it's the most efficient, point efficient unit, but it's a really strong unit on upvet because it goes up really high in accuracy, and you usually have enough T-72s in front of it that it won't get shot in either. but it can help out from the rear with accurate shots to deal damage and hurt the enemy, whilst your other T-72s keep on pushing forward and get closer. So only getting 2 here, but having them efficiently in the opener is quite nice. And that's why I went with 2 veterancy here on the Volk card, and then 1 veterancy on the T-72 M1s, which are just amazing value at the moment for 160 points. Maybe the best efficient tanks currently in the game. So 17 frontal armor means that you actually survive a lot. Some of the long-range tanks like T-55s and so on can't even shoot at you, and that is really helpful to get stuff done. 6 side armor is decent enough as well, and that gets you forward. T-55AS, helpful in the infantry fights and the towns, can be quite nice there. And T-55A here coming up with high veterancy to just be a support little tank as well on the flanks if need be. You could consider switching this out for another T-72 M1D. I feel like getting a couple more cheaper tanks around can be quite nice from time to time as well, though. Recon, you get really good specialty, 40 points for GSR unit with a little RPG. That is really nice. Really efficient infantry unit to get yourself some GSRs around. The BRM is really important for your tank pushes to go around with as well. Then you have a bit more beefy flanking, slowly pushing recon here. The BMP-1 I don't feel like is worthwhile, and then the Sciadozzi here with just 35 points standard recon. That also comes in a little recon vehicle that can be helpful in your tank pushes as well. AA, coops, 4 of them, so that you can get around the Strella's infantry teams and the Strela little vehicle. Pretty solid, gets you enough AA around that you can hold the ground. The Yacht is nice, the Shilka is nice as well, but you can't really afford it in this deck, so I go with the coops as well as an action here. Helicopters, you don't get anything with a Cocon. That is a weakness, but the rocket helicopter Mi-24Ds are still pretty nice. The Mi-2 that you get is a weak one as well. The rocket one would be a lot more helpful here in this deck. The Malyutka, so you don't need more ATGMs in this deck. You have enough of those, so getting some rockets here and then maybe doing a bit of damage with the Falanga P is more helpful here out of the Hinds. You have a decent air type as well. 2 cuts of Su-22 ATs. Those are really helpful against anything with heavy armor. Like if you have to push through a Leo 2 division or so, these will force the enemy to stop investing into tanks or losing their tanks, and then you can just push through. And that is pretty important. They also, together with the rocket one, have a bit of air-to-air capabilities to help out in the air fights, to help out your coops, keeping the enemy around and then just shooting them down here. And that is really important as well. The Su-22 here with the air-to-air rocket as well for 155 points, quite nice. Has a really quick reload time as well. The rockets are pretty big gambling, and they, even if they hit, they often don't quite kill off enemy units, but it's a really quick turnaround time, can saturate the air. If you need it, you need it, and the MiG-21s with the R3Rs are pretty point efficient for their, or availability efficient with 4 per card as well, for having a radar missile that actually can get out there a bit, though the R3R is still not a great missile. The best Sidewinders have the same range as this radar missile. So this is the deck. It has a good infantry tab with good IFV infantry, cheap and more expensive. Really helpful sub-PSG that can just be your flanking unit on their own. Hold off infantry, hold off light vehicles, some ATGMs, but no high pen there. Bit of lack of high pen here as well. You don't have the long range ATGMs of the Cocons and so on that you get, or the severe with that you get with 7th Panzer, but you have the Wilk and you have a lot of T-72s rolling forward, so that's where the artillery with some smoke play and some shooting down of enemy strong points comes in. And you have a really good recon tab to figure out where to push with this as well, whilst your AA tab should get you safe as well. So yeah, a really good all-rounder deck, and you should give it a go. See you all next time, guys, and we're gonna get this deck a go as well. So bye-bye, and have a great day.